What's up, everybody? This is Chalupa Batman GG here with Tasty Bacon. Tasty Bacon, are you there?
I am here,
There we go, the tastiest of
and
all bacons.
yes, indeed, and I am super excited to get things underway here for the Vainglory Masters series. It's a bit different than most other tournaments that you see for Vainglory, and I think these new rules that are being brought in are something that make this, a little more competitive, in a sense than even just the regular VGL.
Absolutely, we did have a draft being introduced into ranked Q, and then obviously all the tournaments are draft, and we kind of seem to think that blind picks are kind of the less competitive version of matches, but. Actually, speaking of, why don't we go through the rules of VMS? This is obviously a new tournament in North America. It was in Europe, and I know a lot of us watched the VMS for Europe. This is the first time that the North American teams will be competing. Let's go over the rules real quick.
Yeah, that definitely sounds good to me. I mean, it's like I mentioned, there's a couple things that some people may be unfamiliar with. But it is still very simple at the end of the day. So the core thing is that it will be, I believe it's still blind pick, correct?
Yes, it is a blind pick.
All right, so teams will be playing in best of three matches. So that's everyone's familiar with that. And they will be blind pick. However, the one thing that really separates this from any other tournament is the fact that after the first game, for games 2 and then even further on for games 3, the heroes that the teams can pick in their blind pick are limited, as you cannot play the same hero twice in one set.
So that's definitely the deciding factor. This is what makes this tournament different than any other tournament out there right now. Once again, to repeat, a team cannot play the same hero in a set. So we see a lot of comps that are really, really annoying. We see them over and over again. The first one that comes to my mind is the push comp, right? So we see teams running the push comp over and over again, running Saw, Adagio, and some support. And it kind of seems like, hey, can this team really do anything else? Are they just a one-trick pony, or can these guys play some other heroes? And VMS, as you can see, the tagline is "How many heroes can you master?" It's really going to showcase people's skills, player skills, and see how deep their hero pools are.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat with the best of 3, if a match goes into that decisive third game, that means that each team has to play 9 unique heroes. And so especially with the limited hero pool in Vainglory as a whole, that is, that can be really stretching your pools pretty deep. Obviously, it means you have to have each member of your team has to have at least 3 heroes that they are comfortable and confident on, and they can't overlap. So like you can't sit there and have, oh, our laner and our jungler are both really comfortable with Blackfeather. Well, if you play Blackfeather in the first game, he's gone. You can't play him again. Like you can't, just because your laner plays Blackfeather one game, it doesn't mean that your jungler can play Blackfeather the next game. They have to pick completely different heroes.
Absolutely. And another thing to mention is because these are blind pick games, there's a very, very high chance that you might actually see a mirror matchup. You might actually see the same hero on both sides. Something you
Mm-hmm.
usually don't see except for possibly in the tiebreaker match in like a best of 3 or best of 5 series in a tournament. Potentially we can see these mirror matches, possibly for every match. Let me go ahead and check out the teams real quick. I'm going to go ahead and throw that up on the board. So this is a pretty big group of teams. We have the ones that everyone kind of knows about. We have we have the TSMs, the Gangstars, we have Hammers. So the household names, you could say. At the same time, we do have a lot of teams that this is the first time that they're here in the tournament, and the first time they can showcase their skills. We have 32 teams here.
Yeah, and one of the downsides of having 32 teams is you do have that really high potential for complete blowouts, because there is a definite skill gap within Vainglory. There's a reason why in the VGL we still see the same 8 to 10 teams always in the quarterfinals, and beyond. And so there will be some one-sided matches, but there's also the chance for massive upsets. These teams that nobody's ever heard of that are playing in their first competitive event, they could just happen to be players that are new to the game, but just picked it up really, really quickly and are going to take the scene by storm. You never know what you're going to see. But on the other hand, going back to the dominance that could come out, that's actually a rule that was just added to this North American VMS, is the fact that if a team sweeps their opponent, so if they go 2-0 in the early stages, during the group stage, they will gain an additional point, because the group stage is all about points. If you win your best of 3 matchup, you gain 3 points. If you lose, you don't get any points. However, if you win your series 2-0, you get an extra point on top of that. So that's crucial for some of these tiebreakers that may come up. If 2 teams both go 2-1 in a group, because the top 2 teams from each group move on, that extra tiebreaker point from having a 2-0 series sweep could be the difference between moving on or going home.
Absolutely. We're just getting set up here. The first matchup is going to be Noble Esports versus Team Smurf Bloodstrong. Just trying to get the players in here at the same time. It's pretty hard to get 6 players in at the same place.
Yeah, it's especially trying to coordinate 6 gamers into the same spot can be a difficult task, but we are getting close to it. We're just missing, I believe, 1 more person at this point. There is also another bonus point rule added to the VMS for this tournament, which is if you have a perfect game. I believe that means if you don't give up any kills or turrets. I'm not 100% sure on that one. May have to get clarification on if it's just kills or if you have to be kills and turrets. But as soon as we have that, we'll double check and confirm to make sure.
I actually did think that a perfect game was just kills, but now that you mention it, I have no idea either. You just
I'm gonna
me.
go ahead and double check that while you go over a bit more about this first matchup and even our second matchup as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a challenge in itself as well. There's an incentives for these powerhouse teams to try their best and actually go for that perfect game with no kills or no deaths and no turrets down. But yep, first matchup we have Noble Esports and Team Smurf Bloodstrong. I believe this is Team Smurf Bloodstrong's first appearance in a streamed match. I know Team Smurf has been making a name for themselves recently. They've been in the VGL. They've been coming up, but I believe Bloodstrong is a new team in their organization.
Yeah, Team Smurf is a organization that's been around for a little bit. They've seen limited success in the VGL, but Bloodstrong is a new team for them, and so they have a pretty tall task up ahead for their very first showing, having to take on Noble Esports, the brand new team that was just started this season, made of veteran players, however, most notably Xenotech.
Absolutely, Xenotech, obviously a very influential member, I would say, in the community. A big streamer, a lot of fans behind him, and he was away from the big stage for a while, away from competitive play, but he's coming back. It's gonna be exciting to see what he can show. I think we're ready though, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. It's gonna be game number 1, Noble Esports versus Team Smurf Bloodstrong. Let's get into the blind picks.
Yep, so we are going to get into blind pick now. I assume we're not going to be showing the blind pick, and just to prevent any potential stream viewing, because obviously these orgs and might have individuals, or should have individuals watching the stream. If they don't, shame on them. But we are just going to be waiting for them to lock in their heroes. Once both teams have locked in, we'll go ahead and reveal who the picks are for game number 1.
This is exciting. I mean, we can see what's going on, so I mean, I'm pretty excited. I can't wait for these guys to lock in. Nobody actually wants to lock in. They're acting like this is, they can see each other's picks, and they're kind of just cycling through all the heroes, keeping us guessing as well. But this is an opportunity for these teams to kind of play what they believe is the OP comp, right? Because It's not a draft pick. There's no bans. Whatever they think is the strongest possible all-around comp, we're gonna. And the interesting thing is completely different comps coming out of both teams here. We're gonna. I mean, let's talk about these comps a little bit.
Yeah, so now that we have both comps coming out for the side of Team Secret Bloodstrong, it's going to be Blackfeather, Sky, and Fortress. Blackfeather and Fortress are two picks that are very highly contested in draft modes, so they've definitely taken two big power picks right away. Meanwhile, over on the side of Noble Esports, they're actually opting for the Adagio Glaive buff comp. This is a pretty strong comp that we have seen making a rise of late. Obviously, Adagio with his changes. The buff comp doesn't work quite as well with ranged heroes, but you put it on a glaive or on a Krull or something like that, it does still work very, very well. I'm a little surprised to not see any Scarf coming out in game number 1, as that is another one of those heroes that's just always heavily contested.
Now, Glaive is a hero that didn't see too much play last season, but a small buff on him really, really brought him to the forefront of the game. We've been seeing him a lot, not only in, in the VGL, in solo queue, just all over the place.
Yeah, and actually, it looks like there might be a bit of a fight here at level 1 in the jungle as Noble is looking to invade, but this is quickly turning into 2-on-3 that they want no part of, as Uni is going to be running away, but El Riesgo will be the first one to go down. Uni does answer it with one of his own, but then he's just traded back as well, and now Xenotech, he's by himself. He's going to try and take down Bowman, but doesn't quite have enough, and it will be all 3 kills picked up for the side of Team Secret Bloodstrong, or not Team Smurf Bloodstrong. However, it was not quick enough to secure that ace buff, so they need to be careful because with low health, this could happen right here.
Yeah, death timers are very, very short early on in the game, so very hard to get that ace, but still 3 kills early on in the game, but however, 1 kill going back over to the side of Noble Esports, and it's going to be a 3-2.
And I did get confirmation that the perfect game is just kills. So as long as you can, we aren't going to see a perfect game coming out in game number 1 here, as both teams do have a couple of kills under their belt. But just for the future, it is you have to finish the game without giving up a single kill to qualify as a perfect game. You can lose a turret or 2. That's not an issue. However, looking at this, it looks like we might be having another potential fight as Noble, once again, going very aggressive, stealing away these back camps.
Both teams are being very aggressive right now. Every little camp counts, especially early on in the game, and Noble being very active, even taking the small camps at the bottom. It's gonna add up in the long term. But that's another kill over to the side of Team Smurf. A gank in the lane, but it's not over yet. Glaive is coming in. He's going to go after the Sky. Sky's getting very low, but she's going to put out the forward barrage. Sky needs to be careful here, and Afterburn can take her out, but this fight is going to stabilize. Members of Team Smurf are very, very low, though, and Noble is being so aggressive. Uni is not backing off at all.
Yeah, Uni just healing up massively in this lane right now and doing a good chunk of damage to Bowman. Gonna go diving underneath the turret. Picks up 1, actually looking for a second one, but the turret's starting to do work. It doesn't matter, though. That is another kill picked up for Noble, and just like that, the kills are tied for a piece. And Noble, they're looking for these back camps.
Ooh, another skirmish is breaking off here. A nice scout trap. Did see Josh. Josh, 12-13, is trying to port home, and he is going to be able to get out of there. No kill over there for the side of Xenotech, and no farm stolen as well.
Yeah, looking at the farm right now, it's actually pretty close to even. There's a slight lead for Uni over Josh, and that's really the only difference in the gold. But Uni making a big play onto Bowman, he's going to be going down here. There's nothing you can do about that. That was an absolutely beautiful afterburn.
These guys do not want to play a farm game here. They're going for the kills, and they're going aggressive. They don't want to stop, and Uni has no fear here. He's walking right up to the turret, trying to take chunks out of members of Team Smurf. Looks like there's going to be a little bit of downtime here finally as both teams back off. Noble Esports is just going to go ahead and buy, and we're going to go back to farming.
Yeah, and 9 kills already secured within the first 4 minutes That is a pretty bloodthirsty game to start things off here. We'll see if this pace keeps up. You have to assume it's going to slow down at some point because the players will realize, hey, you know, we actually do kind of want some of that gold from these minions. But thus far, it has been all action. And Riesgo and Xenotech, they're looking to get engaged on here by Team Smurf, but it's not quite a full engage as they are worried about Uni coming up from the backside, and rightly so, because he is there now to join the fight, and we've got all 6 members in this lane. Something might break out soon, but I feel like Noble, they really can't look for anything there. They do have to back off of that, and that's exactly what they do. With all 3 members defending, trying to go for a turret dive is infinitely more dangerous. But they are going to be able to take away these back camps once again and trying to get themselves a bit more of a lead. But here comes another fight.
Oh, there's a flare going down. Both members, all 6 members of the game are going at it. The